Trade talks are intensifying around the Vancouver Canucks and Patrik Allvin continues searching for help within this team. NHL insiders link the Vancouver Canucks to multiple players in the Western Conference as Allvin looks to not only add center depth, but scoring help to this roster. We're going to break down these reports coming from NHL insiders naming 3 key players the Vancouver Canucks are in on, with one looking like the most perfect fit out of the bunch. We're going to break down these players, the reports, and so much more in this episode. You're not going to miss it. So let's just dive straight into it today, where we know the Vancouver Canucks are looking for help on the forward position. Defensively and in goaltending, they've been awesome. They have great defensemen. They've been playing a sound game. The goaltending, especially Thatcher Demko, has been sound, but looking at the forward group that is ravaged with injuries. Brock Boeser coming back to join this group, but with Filip Hronek out, Jonathan Leckermack, Niels Höglander, this is a Canucks team that is going to actively look to add within this team and via trade, as Patrik Allvin has expressed himself that the Canucks need to keep going and add something to this roster, and it has been a priority all offseason heading into, especially at this point. Now with this, we get reports coming from NHL insiders. The first one coming from Frank Cervelli. You've got Alex Wennberg in San Jose. You could bring in Adam Gaudette or Ryan Poehling. Now we're going to break down 2 of these guys very quickly, but the one in particular has been linked by another insider that we're going to touch on after. Now the first one being Adam Gaudette. Now this is a name that a lot of fans should know, a former Vancouver Canuck that came off a very good season last year with the Ottawa Senators before joining the San Jose Sharks. Looking at the stats, 2 goals, 1 assist for 3 total points, 8 points points. The biggest thing right now with Adam Gaudette is playing on a team that's in the midst of a rebuild. The San Jose Sharks cannot pull out a win. Playing just under 11 and a half minutes time on ice, Adam Gaudette is a -5, but this is not on him. Now looking at a time around the NHL with the San Jose Sharks, once again a -5, but 3 points over those games. Last year with the Ottawa Senators going out with 19 goals, a career high with 26 points, still respectable on the faceoff position, 50.3% just last season with 60 hits. This year, 53 with the Sharks. Now with this, Gaudette is someone that's going to come in and fill in a middle 6 role. This could be the center position, moving someone up like Teddy Bluger or Aatu Ratu if they want to go the route of adding depth instead of going out in a hectic market where everyone is looking for a 2C, and bringing in a guy like this to help with the load of scoring and also down the middle. Now with Gaudette, a awesome piece, $2 million on a contract year, 1 of 2. So this would be a 28-year-old going on age 30 at the end of the deal. So Patrik Allvin does get someone with term. We know what has happened in the past. Lindholm and Zadorov both being traded for and then walking for absolutely nothing to the Boston Bruins. At least with Gaudette, you would know you're bringing in a piece that's on a cheap deal. I'm not saying this is the fix at the 2C. This is not a fix in the top 6, but if you want to add a middle 6 center or someone in the bottom 6 that can go out and score you goals, add impacts, throw hits, and win faceoffs, Gaudette is a name that's very interesting, and Gaudette is someone that I would like them to get if it's not going to cost a lot. Now going back into this, we know there's multiple more names. Ryan Poehling is a very interesting one where you're not going to get the offensive output, but when on the defensive end and especially on the faceoffs, he does add a lot of value. Now with the Anaheim Ducks, 1 assist over 6 games. He is a net negative at 0 with the plus minus, playing under 10 minutes a night. This would be a 4th line center that's still 26, so maybe some room to grow within the Canucks system, but 6'2", bringing in Poehling would be kind of fun if you want to get a 4th line center, which I don't think the Canucks need to prioritize. Now looking at Poehling, 1 assist over 6 games, coming off a career year last year with the Flyers as well. 31 points, including 12 goals. His faceoff percentage is up at 56.5%. Now, he's not going to go out and throw the most hits. He does block some shots for a forward at the center position, but bringing in Poehling is a very interesting one. If you want to go out and make this more veteran down the middle, you have Teddy Bluger on the 3rd line, and if instead of Max Sasson, you want to add a more defensive-minded guy, so maybe Petey doesn't have to take so many damn faceoffs in the defensive zone, this could be a fit as well. But once again, a name that I would not like to throw a lot of draft capital or prospects at to bring in a 1.9 million. This would probably be a rental unless you can resign him for very cheap, but this seems like more of a deal that you make towards deadline if you have your top 3 centers filled out, and if you didn't have Max Atz and Otto Ratu or Teddy Bluger within this team fighting to get into the bottom 6 center position. Now with this, the Canucks have a lot of options. We've seen them try quite a bit. We've seen Sasson, Ratu, and Amon take over the center position. Teddy Bluger should be back at some point, but this is still not good enough down the middle for the Vancouver Canucks, and that's where things get interesting, where we finally get another report coming from David Pagnotta linking the Canucks to what I think is the best out of the 3. Now from Dave Pagnotta, according to various reports, the Canucks have inquired on the availability of San Jose Sharks centerman Alex Wennberg, who is the final year of his contract and comes with a $5 million cap hit. Now, this $5 million you could trade Evander Kane for, but let's be honest, that is not going to happen. With Wennberg, a very interesting piece, and this report will be linked down in the description if you want to read through it as well, linking them to multiple players. And we're going to do a full video on another name coming from the New York Islanders with a special guest, Patrick, who's on Islanders Digest to get his side of the story. But going into Wennberg, 3 points in 6 games, 31 years old, 6'2", playing just under 19 minutes. If the Canucks want a quick fix, someone they can bring in that fills the center position, especially a third line center, if they're looking at a bigger picture down the road to acquire a second line center, Wennberg would be a very interesting one. Now going into Wennberg, coming off a year, 35 points last season with the San Jose Sharks in 77 games, 80 blocks, 30 hits, 47.5 on the faceoff dot. So a little worse on the faceoffs than the previous players we have spoke on. But if you're going back to the days of him with Columbus, there are seasons where he had shown flashes of putting offensive numbers. We've seen last year with the Sharks playing in a bit of a mentor role on a rebuilding team. I think with a better culture, a better system, even though Adam Foote's system has not always looked the best, this is the team that could bring in Wennberg, and he would fill a vital role on the team, winning faceoffs, going out to be a veteran leader, and you're getting him on a 1-year, $5 million deal. Now, the biggest trend with all these people that we went through in this video is the fact that the San Jose Sharks is trying to sell absolutely everyone. With the San Jose Sharks, they're going to look at trading off players. We've seen some ridiculous contracts on their end to reach over the cap floor so they can go out to either retain or trade on from players within the system. I believe the Brent Burns contract was retained, so now they do have a retained spot opened up with him leaving Carolina. But going into this Canucks team, they need to do something. There's multiple options, a quick fix down the middle with a lot of the guys that we mentioned in this video, from Gaudette all the way to Poehling and Adam Wennberg. These guys are players that you can bring in and fill in the position, but is not a second line center fix. Every team is looking for a second line center. There's reports coming from multiple teams. Even the Montreal Canadiens out east, another Canadian team, is looking for this position. So if Patrik Allvin wants to go out to get a centerman, they want to get someone that can come in, fill a void for the time. You start to get healthy players back within the lineup. Teddy Bluger, hopefully Filip Hronek, Jonathan Leckermack, and Niels Höglander. When you add Wennberg into this mix, you would start to have a deeper team. If you had a team of Pettersson, Filip Hronek, Wennberg, and down to Teddy Bluger, the center position looks a lot better, but the Canucks need to figure something out. They're getting linked to a lot of players, and we're hearing chatter around the league that this is actively starting to pick up, that teams are really homing in on players, and trades are going to start coming sooner rather than later. But Canucks fans, what is your thoughts? What is your thoughts on these 3 players? Would you like to go out and get one of them for a quick fix, especially if it's a low cap hit or if it's a player that you're going to get with a cheap mid-round pick, where we know the Canucks have 4 after trading Dakota Joshua and She Loves? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And speaking of the comments, let's go to comment today coming from Keith. If they could get Bo back, that would be interesting, but unlikely. And listen, if you guys have any comments or questions to ask Patrick on Islanders Digest when he comes on to speak on the one player linked over there as well, put them down in the comments. I'd love to ask him, pick his brain on someone that's covering the Islanders. And listen, Bo Horvat would be awesome to come back, but it doesn't seem likely. Let me know, get your thoughts down in the comments. You could be featured on Comment of the Day. While you're down there, leave a like, subscribe, share this with your friends. We'll be back in another episode, and we're also trying to reach our goal of 9,000 subscribers. I want to give a huge shout out to everyone watching, but I've been your host, Mark. Take care, Canucks fans. A trade's going to come at some point, and I cannot wait to see what this team starts to do when they get healthy. Take care, everyone.